Good afternoon, Hillcrest family, and all who are watching. I'd like to welcome you to our YouTube live golf educational series. This is part two. For today's segment, we're kind of going to build off of what Kate did last Sunday and see if we can't get a little bit further into the full swing mechanics. As always, if there are any questions or comments, please send them through and we'll try to answer them as best as we can. But I hope you all have some fun. I hope everyone is staying safe during this time. So with that, let's kind of get started. So Kate talked a lot about the first three segments of the golf swing: the takeaway, the positioning up at top, and then how to actually come down from that position. So I'm going to go into a little bit more depth with that, and then I'm going to add some more stuff. We're going to talk about some lag later on, and we're going to talk about how to backload and front load your weight properly. Okay, so let's get started. So when we talk about trying to get the club pulled away into a good solid position like this, what we're really seeing, if you look at my elbows, is there's a mechanism at work here. So my right elbow goes up a little bit, and then conversely, as I come down through, the right elbow stiffens, and my left elbow then bends. So the mechanism works like this. So if we were to imitate a backswing, as I go back, left arm is straight, right elbow bends. As I come back down through, my right arm bends, and my left arm goes straight. So that's the mechanism. It goes like this, and then it goes like this, okay? Now, if we were to just stand here and hold the club like so, we could also mimic this same routine just by taking the club back like so. We want the club to be vertical up in the air. See how my right elbow is bent? And then conversely, coming back down, the opposite. So my left elbow bends and the club's vertical. You could do this exercise at home, in the living room, during a commercial, in your garage, out in the backyard. This is a very valuable exercise in trying to keep the club on plane as best you can. Any of you have taken my golf fit sessions with me and Travis? We covered this a lot in that session. One of the major issues that golfers have is trying to stay on plane. So we want to really do our best to be on plane. So now to hold on to the club, I'm going to take it back with my chest, just like Kate taught us. So the club comes back. My left arm is extended. My right elbow is slightly bent. And here's the key. The shaft of the club is paralleling the line of my feet. I never want the club to be back behind me or out in front of me. So if you picture this straight line, if my club is there, I've crossed that line. So when the club gets inside, my swing now becomes really, really flat. From a flat position, how do I get back? There's only one way. And you fishermen out there, it's called a cast. We don't want to do that. Same thing as if we go the opposite, right? So now our plane is going to be off this way. And again, coming down, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to cast, or you're going to come over the top in an attempt to try to meet that golf ball. So that's our first and foremost step. Take it back with our chest, making sure this club is parallel to the line of my feet. Now from this point, as Kate taught us, we merely go up. So again, shaft is paralleling my feet, toe of the club up in the air. Now from here, we go up. Remember, Kate was telling you about the waitress with all the glasses of water. Same thing, right? That's a really good picture to have in your mind. So we're here, club goes up. Now we had a great question last time about, do I need to have the club parallel at the top of my backswing? The answer is no. As long as you're in rotation, it doesn't really matter where that club is. Everyone puts the club in a different position up top based upon the dimensions of your body. So like in my full swing, I'm fully rotated. But as you can see, the club up top isn't even close to parallel. That's parallel. and I have it about right here. I've completed my turn. I've maximized my energy going back, but there's no need to get the club in this position. Okay, so we got midpoint of our backswing. Now we take the club up. Now, two things we're looking for in this position up top. Number one, I want the shaft to be aiming somewhere down my target line. I don't want it to be going over here, nor do I want it to be going over there. I want it to be aiming down my target line at all times. Number two, the face of the club, we want it, generally speaking, the toe to be pointed somewhere towards the ground level. We don't want it like this. This is called a shut position. We don't want it open like that. This is called square. So we want that toe of the club relatively pointed towards the ground. So midpoint, club parallel to my feet. Take it up top. Again, I'm on plane. The club is aiming at my target line. Now, how do we come down? Kay did a great job explaining how we want to get some separation coming down. I think one of the questions was, how do I initiate that downward move? Question is, not the question, but the answer is we want to use our chest. We want to initiate that downward move using our chest. So I like to focus on the midpoint of my body, which is my breastbone or my sternum. So from up top, if I start like that and not like that, I'm in a good position. So I start with my chest, and as I come down, my body leads, and then my hands and arms kind of follow that motion of the golf swing. This is bringing me into our next segment called the lag. So we want to do everything that we possibly can to create lag in the golf swing. Lag is very simple. It's your arms and hands following your body's rotation. Okay, so when I come down through, at this point, I haven't even gotten close to the golf ball, but my hips have already cleared through the impact position. My arms and hands are now, quote unquote, lagging back behind my body. In a slow motion camera at this point, the head of the club is actually somewhere back here. That shaft is bowing, and this is what's giving you the whip or that release into the golf ball, as many of you have heard. This is also where most of our power is coming from. Okay. Anyone who's taken lessons before, we always do a little bit of an interview prior to getting started in the lesson. Now I always ask, what's your goal? What do you want to get out of this? Number one answer, you guess it, power. I want to hit it further. The second number one answer is accuracy. I want to hit it straight, and I want to be consistent. Well, to do that, that club face has to be square coming into the golf ball. The only way to get that club face totally square at impact is to create lag. All right, so once I get myself up in this position up top, as I come down, I lead with my chest. My hips are following. So imagine arrows going around my body this way. So I'm not sliding, I'm turning, and my arms and hands are lagging back behind. Then I just continue to let the club swing through. The club is swinging through not based upon my arms and hands. The club is swinging through based upon my body's rotation. There's torque involved. The club is just following the motion of my body. So if I were to just swing the club back and through and didn't do anything with my hands, the club follows. My arms follow. My hands follow. They all follow based upon the movement of my center or my sternum or my breastbone. If you want a really good read, Ben Hogan created this wonderful book. And in that book, I think it's called The 5 Lessons. In that book, he talked about delaying the hit. What he's talking about is lag. That's what we're going over right now. So from up top, lead with our body and try to get my arms and hands to follow the motion of that body. Anyone who's taken a lesson from me, you've probably heard me say numerous times, your body has to get to the impact zone prior to your hands. Always, always, always. Keep that in your brain. My body's got to get there first, okay? All right, so next thing we're going to talk about is weight transfer. Again, people want power in their golf swing. Power comes from 3 different places in the golf swing. It comes from arc. Arc is the length of the circle that we are creating as we rotate. The second measure of power is rotation. And the third measure of power is weight transfer, okay? That's what gives you power in your golf swing. Now, some of us really don't have control over arc. Arc is kind of based upon the dimensions of our body, how long our legs are, our torso, our arms, so on and so forth. That naturally puts the club in a different position for everybody. However, if our arc is compromised, in other words, if up top, our arms and hands are really tight to our body like this and not extended away, this has reduced our arc. Now we're compromised. That's going to be a reduction in power, okay? Rotation and weight transfer, those are the 2 that we really, really have control over. So we need to take control. We need to make sure that we rotate back and that we transfer weight back. Rotation really isn't that difficult. It's just mind over matter. People have it in their heads that if they transfer weight, they're going to slide. Well, if you're turning, it's impossible to slide. Turning is going to be very simple. We're going to focus on your belt buckle or your belly button, the mid portion of your body. So when I turn away from the golf ball, my goal is to get my belt buckle aimed over my right toe. This is as far of a rotation as I need. That's a complete rotation going back. Conversely, when I come back down through, I want my belt buckle to finish at my target. Again, that's as far as a rotation that is needed. Now, some of us have difficulty in range of motion, especially with the forward rotation. You don't get all the way through, it's okay for now, as long as you're creating lag. The more you practice, the more flexibility you probably gain, you'll be able to do that. Okay, so rotating. I got my belt buckle over my right toe, and here's the part I really want you to understand. This is going to be back loading. So if you notice, my left heel slightly off the ground, maybe 1.5 inches at most, okay? What that does is it allows my weight to shift to my back foot. I am right now back loaded. How much weight are we talking? In a perfect world, about 85% of our weight should be posted up on that back leg, okay? So if I get 85 to 90% of my weight right here, now I'm back loaded. Now, as I rotate down through, that weight has a chance to get to that front leg, okay? So, the biggest thing I see people doing incorrectly is when they turn, this front foot is flat to the ground. They're flat-footed. If your foot is flat, there's going to be some measure of weight hanging on that front leg. One of the things we see all day long during lessons is this. So at the top of my backswing, majority of my weight is on my front foot. So what happens when I come down? As I turn back down through, it reverses. Now my weight's on my back foot. What's the result of the shot? You're going to hit it dead right most of the time. Unless you make some adjustments. Adjustments would be your hands coming in, probably hit some shots that are pretty heavy or shots that are moving hard left on you, okay? So, I want to make sure that my left heel gets off the ground slightly. My belt buckle is pointed over my right toe. I'm in a good position up here. Remember, I'm holding that tray, okay? Now from here, all I have to do, initiate the downward move with the center of my body. So I start down like this, and as I'm turning back down, this whole part of my body will rotate forward as I'm trying to move my belt buckle towards the target. As I do that, now the rest of my weight transfers to the front. So again, if I wanted 85% of my weight on my back foot from the backswing. Guess what? I want 85 to 90% of my weight on my front foot when I finish the golf swing. So it's a complete rotation, and it's a complete transference of weight back and through. So I'm back loading and I'm front loading, okay? These are very critical elements to hitting the golf ball squarely, hitting it consistent, and hitting it with power, okay? So when you get to a point where you start to feel some weight transfer, here's how I would go about this. So if I were to take just a couple of half swings, like here, I'm rotated, even though I didn't go all the way up top, I'm fully rotated, my heel's in the air, and I have weight on my back foot, about 85%. So I'm backloaded. Even though it's only a half swing, I still have power now to let my body turn back down and through to the target. So I got all my weight transferred forward. Again, how do I come down? I use my center. Half swing, I'm weight transferred, using my center, and I come down all the way through. So if anyone ever has any questions about if they're transferring their weight properly, all you have to do, put yourself in this position and put it in percentages. How much weight is on my back foot versus my front foot? This is huge, people. If you're not there, if you have some weight on your front foot, now you can see my spine is kind of reversing, going that way. That's what we call a reverse C. So in this position, the only way to come down is to do that. And that's going to give us a lot of problems. So 85% back, 85% forward. Okay, now we're going to talk a little bit about the finish. So the finish is going to be probably the most important part of this. So it's important to get ourselves rotated away and get our weight transferred. Remember my belt buckle. But this is great because we've now loaded up all of our energy. The hard part is getting here. Most of us will stop at some point prior to finishing that golf shot. How many of you have hit a golf shot where you swing and your body is aiming way out to the right? Guess what? Your shot will also be way out to the right. So we got to make sure that from here, our weight gets all the way through and our entire body is facing the target. When I say my entire body, my hips, my torso, my shoulders, everything is facing the target. The other thing I want to look for in the finish, we want our shoulders to be level. We don't want them angled like this. I walk down the range a lot and I see a lot of golfers finishing like this with their shoulders on an angle. Well, when you do that, now look at my body. My body is aiming out to the right and not down the target line. Okay? So, getting into some pretty particular stuff here with the finish. My belt buckle is at the target. My weight is 85 to 90% on my front foot. My body is facing the target. My shoulders are facing the target. And my shoulders are level. Okay? Now, in terms of the finish, a lot of people have a tendency when they finish to hold the club around their side like this, as opposed to if you see a golf professional, they're up here. If you're finishing on the side like this, what that generally means is that as you're coming down through the impact zone, you're not allowing that club to extend down the target line. What's actually happening is the club is moving left. It's going dead left this way, and it puts yourself into a low finish position as opposed to a high finish position. So I want to make sure that when I get to that finish, I'm allowing the club, if you can see in slow motion, to literally extend directly down the target line after impact. I'm not really using my hands to achieve that. I'm using my body. Again, my sternum, my breastbone. That's what I'm using to achieve that position. And again, my arms and hands, what are they doing? If they're lagging, they're just following. They have nowhere else to go. If my sternum goes this way, my arms and hands have nowhere else to go if I'm not controlling them. That's the key word, if. If I'm controlling my hands, meaning I have too much pressure in my right hand, or I'm swinging down too hard and my hands are getting ahead of my body, then that club will start moving left. That club moves left. Clearly, we're going to have some shots moving left. We could have some shots moving right as well. Not as much. Most of the shots will go left. Well, you also hit some heavy shots. You're going to take too much turf a lot of the times. So body goes through. Remember, my body reaches the golf ball prior to my hands. Body through. Hands have nowhere to go but in an extended position down my target line. And now from this point, I can get myself up into this finish. Okay? All right, so let's talk about our hands real quick. Last week, I posted a video of grips and all the different types of grips available to you. Remember, there's 3 types of grips. There's a baseball style, there's interlock, and there's overlap. I also talked about grip tension. Grip tension is probably the #1 killer of great golf swings anywhere in the world. So what that means is from the top of the swing, my right hand is probably going to start applying more pressure and try to take over. In that situation, my hands are going to lead. They're going to race to the golf ball prior to my body. My body is now way back behind the shot. And now I'm going to have some problems in that extended position through the golf ball. So we want to make sure, remember, you watch my grip video, last 3 fingers of your left hand, that's where your grip tension is. All other 7 fingers, just along for the ride. Literally, with these last 3 fingers, you can grip the club as hard as you want, as long as there's more tension here than any other of the 7 fingers combined. So if you follow that grip tension guide, you're going to find out real quickly that your body can get to the golf ball first, and you will start controlling where your shots go, and hopefully you'll create some lag and start to see some power, okay? Once again, power in the golf swing, 3 positions: arc, rotation, weight transfer. Cade covered arc. Now I'm covering rotation and weight transfer. Remember, we're back loaded on this leg. And as we come down, my body leads, my sternum leads the charge. My hands are back following the motion of my body. My body gets to the golf ball first. And then this phenomenon we call release takes place. My arms and hands just kind of whip through on their own. They have nowhere else to go. They're just following your body's rotation. So that's pretty key. Biggest thing I wanted to get across to you all today, though, is lag. Okay? We need to make sure that in every golf swing we take, whether it's a simple pitch shot or if we're trying to bomb a drive like Cade does, we've got to get our hands to follow the motion of our body. If they lead, we're in trouble. So hands always following. The second part about power, transferring my weight. So I'm getting my weight back loaded and I'm getting my weight front loaded. I'm doing this all while I create lag. Lag is the biggest thing. So I create lag, I got my hands following my body, and now my power source, right here, my legs, my weight transfer. And I let my weight get all the way through the shot to the target. So if you do those things, you're really going to find some success. So I have a great question that just came in. Should I try and make my hands release on my own? Awesome question. The answer is absolutely not. Do our hands actually work through the release? Yes, they do. But if we try to release it with our hands, I'll try to show you slow motion, this is going to happen. Our hands are going to pronate over one another. It's going to cause the club to shut down or be hooded and de-lofted at impact. The ball's going to go pretty hard left and pretty low. So great question. No, the hands release all on their own as long as they're lagging back behind the rotation of the body. Rotation of the body and weight transfer are the two easiest and most effective ways to create a release. Now, there has been certain instances where we've had to build a release into an individual, but it's very, very, very rare. And when we do that, we never use our hands to do it anyway. So awesome question. No hands involved in release. So that's all I have for you today. If there are any questions that you come up with after you view this video, don't hesitate to email or call us. We're here all the time to help. And again, hope everyone stays safe. Hope this was helpful to you. And please have a great day.